Train the muscles, not the joints. Okay, for purposes of full disclosure, I'm going to let you watch me train here for a second, but I'm going to talk to you about how this video format is going to go. I'm going to give you most of the information that is in the title and the description in the first half of the video, but there will be some information later on, but you'll see the video gets a little bit kind of crazy as it goes on because, hey, I like to shake things up. That's what I like to do, and I did a little bit of a poll with you guys lately. You guys said you like the humor stuff, and I just felt like being a little bit stupid, so sorry about that, but you're going to get some good information too. So just be patient. If you guys like the humor stuff, that's more at the end of the video or in the last half, but in the beginning you get more of the information. But I think I think it goes together quite nicely. So thanks a lot for tuning in, and here we go. All right, so today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the pump and stretch principle over a week. I had somebody ask me a pretty good question. They said, Jason, can you do the pump and stretch principle, but do it over a week? So say you train a body part on Monday, then on Friday, if you train that body part, but more of a stretch type movement instead of a compound movement, would that be better? And I think applying this principle over about 4 or 5 days or 6 days, it's not necessarily relevant. I don't think you might get some benefit from it. Whenever a muscle is a little bit sore or tight, and then you train, obviously there's a little bit more stretching that goes on because the muscle's tight, right? So you use the same range of motion, then you notice that there's a little bit more tightness, and the same range of motion is now a little bit of a stretch. So yes, this does help break down muscle tissue. Now, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about how I do it, and once again, it's going to boil down to the frequency principle and the reason why I like to train my body parts more frequently. I'm going to take you up to Kilby Park. It's raining outside right now. First of all, let me explain the pump and stretch principle. Let me lock the truck first. There we go, okay. Gotta lock up the Battlestar Galactica, otherwise you never know what'll happen, right? You don't know what those trolls are up to. They might try to steal my truck or something. So anyway, the bottom line is with the pump and stretch principle is that you pump the muscle up and then you do an exercise right after when you have the pump to stretch the muscle fascia out. Now, that is pretty much a different principle than when you are doing the pump and stretch principle over a period of a week or two. It's a different principle than when you're doing like a day or 2 or 3 days rest, because say you're doing 3 days rest in an exercise, right? Say you're doing 3 days rest and you're sore, and then you go back to the gym and your muscles are a little bit sore. Yeah, they're a little bit tight, and maybe they are a little bit more pumped, but it's not the same as a full-fledged pump in the middle of a workout, right? So I could see that there might be some crossover in the techniques being similar for sure, but I don't think it's quite the same as the pump and stretch principle within one workout. Now, secondly, one of the reasons why I train more frequent is because when I'm sore, the muscles are a little bit more pumped, like I said. They're also a little bit more broken down. And I find that when I hit those muscles again, because they're a little bit tight, I do get the illusion of a little bit more of a stretch, even if I use the same range of motion in an exercise. So say I squat one day and then I squat 2 days later, but I'm still a little bit tight from the squats. Maybe I'll go a little bit lighter in the second day when I squat, but the fact is that I'm going to get that illusion of a little bit more of a stretch because the muscles are pumped up, they're a little bit tight. So then when I go down in the same range of motion, I'm actually getting more of a stretch or a ripping type of experience in the muscle, but a good type of ripping, not a bad type of ripping, okay? So it's like micro tears, like small little minuscule micro tears in the muscle, and that helps send a signal to the body that it needs to grow.
Some different shots for you.
Now, another way you can do the pump and stretch principle over a period of several days is that if you are training frequently, like I am, you pump up the muscle or you make it sore doing a heavy weight day or whatever it is, and say I'm doing heavy squats one day, then the next day I will do one-legged squats, but I'll do them light. I don't want to pull anything. Like, you don't want to do it too aggressively. If you do it too aggressive, then you'll tear something, right? But if you do just a nice stretch and a medium to high rep range, you'll notice that you'll get a sickening pump because you're already training when you're a little bit sore, and then you're doing a stretching type movement. So that's really how I apply this principle. So I will do stretching movements like lunges or one-legged squats, and then I'll do Romanian deadlifts as well. That's kind of a stretching movement, depending on how deep you go. And then I'll do squat and leg press type movements, which are more pumping or contraction type movements. And again, it does depend on how you do it. But I find my perfect range of motion in the squat does stretch my hamstrings. I find squats are an awesome movement for me to build overall leg development. Mountain. That's where the trolls go. I put the trolls down there, pack them up in the trunk and roll them over. Yeah, they go down pretty far. Another thing that was said in the Facebook group was, what do I feel about weighted stretching? Now, when I answered this comment originally, I said weighted stretching is good. Like, for instance, say you're doing bench presses with a weight that's like 10% of what you normally can do, and you're kind of stretching out with that weight under normal ranges of motion. I think that that's fine, because it's a compound movement, and if you feel something kind of tweaky in the shoulder, you can transfer the stress to the elbows if you have to. You're not kind of stuck. Now, this person then came back and said they're using weighted stretches when it comes down to dumbbell flies. Now, I think that that's a really dangerous thing to do, especially if you're doing moderate weight. If you're just doing 10-pound dumbbells, yeah, you'll probably be fine, or 5-pound dumbbells. Yeah, that might be okay. The problem is with weighted stretch is that usually when you're stretching is you're usually relaxing the muscle. And whenever you're relaxing the muscle, the joint is going to be in a lot more danger of destruction or harm, right? So dislocated shoulders happen a lot of times when a muscle fires in the wrong way and then you get the thing popped out. Well, you can dislocate a joint just by relaxing and then have somebody reef on it, right? So I don't think it's necessary for you to do weighted stretches in that way. Weighted stretching under normal type stretching, like for instance, if I'm trying to do the splits or something, then somebody just jumps on my back, that's not necessary. I think if anything, that's more dangerous. The best thing to do is just stretch. Just do a separate thing. You don't have to combine everything all the time. People on the internet are trying to combine everything all the time, thinking it's somehow better. Usually, it's not better. If I combine dog shit with cookie dough and chocolate chips and curry, that's not going to make a good meal. You know what I'm saying? So it's the same thing with training. You want to make sure that you're strategically doing things that are right for you, but not just doing stuff just because it's more creative and you're trying to be more creative than your buddy. You know what I mean? That's just stupid. Honestly, you're just trying to be a little bit of an idiot, and you're trying to basically do something because you're trying to impress your friends. That's ego, and that's going to kill you every time. So don't do that. So how do you do weighted stretches if you're going to do a weighted stretch? Well, what I do with a weighted stretch, what I classify as a weighted stretch, is that I go through a normal range of motion with weight on my back or weight on my hands, a normal range of motion, and this hold at the bottom, like do an isometric hold, right? So say I'm at the bottom of my bench press, I just hold it there, right? That would be what I call a stretch, and I do it with really lightweight, like medium to really lightweight, like 10% or 20% of what I normally lift. The fact is that I'd be doing it with 100 pounds or 135 pounds that I just hold down at the bottom instead of doing 225 or 275. Squats, same thing. Just hold a light weight, but come down right to the bottom. This is a great way to warm up, by the way. You come right down to the bottom of where your normal range is. Don't be resting on the joints. Don't be relaxing the muscles. A lot of guys think stretching under weight is relaxing the muscles. That would be bad. Now you're just messing the joints up. So never, ever relax the muscles when you have weight on you. The only time you relax muscles is when there's not a lot of tension on the joint. Now, when I'm doing the side splits on the ground, I'm holding most of my body weight up with my hands, and that's what makes it safe. You see, the muscle will not let go if you start putting too much stress on there, and if anything, you're going to tear something or pull something in the joint. I hope that's helpful to you. Okay, I'm going to get a coffee now. Screw this. It's kind of boring now. I can't talk about this shit anymore. It's just too simple, man. It's just too simple for a Gallantian to talk about. All right, I'm going to get a coffee today. Travis is going to buy it. She's making my coffee. It's espresso. Hemlock Mountain Coffee. Pretty good place to go. Ever in Agassiz, come here. It's really good. Really good coffee here.
Mountain. Mountain. Mountain.
Yeah, Hemlock coffee. Great. Hemlock Mountain coffee. Really good in Haggerty. Gotta try it out. Awesome. So if you guys ever come out, especially you Patreon people will come out, one of these days I'll have a workshop or a retreat of some sort, and you guys will all come out and we'll train and talk about working out and have coffee and sit on the beach and sing Kumbaya and whatever else we're gonna do. But anyway, yeah, I'll take you here. Getting back to training. Basically, if you train more often, or if you train when you're a little bit sore, you're almost applying a little bit of the pump and stretch principle. So pretty interesting stuff once you start thinking about that, because then you're thinking, oh my God, all right, if I'm a little bit tight, then I'm actually doing the same range of motion, I'm getting a little bit of a stretch, and that's breaking down some muscle fibers more efficiently, and therefore I get bigger muscle. So that's why, you know, lately people are saying, Jason, you look like you're getting a little bit bigger. Well, what I've been doing is whole body workouts every single day, just taking a day off here and there, but about 5 days a week, and my body's pumping up from it. So you got to try these little techniques. Don't get too married to the whole 20 set bro split crap, because that might work for a period of time, but then sometimes doing super low volume but higher frequency might be good, you know. So don't be afraid to try that out. Protein shake. All right, so now let me take you to Kilby Park and let's do a couple shots out there and see what's going on. It's a really nice park. It's kind of mysterious in a way. There's little structures there, like an old mill and stuff, because back in the old days, people just used the riverways as the main highways, right? So there was an actual mill there, and people lived there, but they lived more up on stilts, on wharfs and stuff, because there was a floodplain going on, so there was a lot of flooding during certain seasons, so they had to build the houses up on sticks and stuff. So yeah, kind of neat. Wasn't that drive nuts? Isn't that nice? So this is Kilby Park, Kilby Regional Park or National Park, or maybe Battlestar Galactica Park. You can see I'm parking the Battlestar Galactica there. So I knew it was going to be sunny today. It's kind of the way this whole meditation path works. I'm kind of in resonance with something that I can't explain to you guys, unless you also want to put 10 years work into just being here and accepting life as it is. And I know some of you are doing that, but that's my other channel, so check that out if you're interested in that sort of stuff. But anyway, yeah, beautiful here, really nice. I'll show you around. I've got my other camera here to get even better footage. Look at these, man. Eh? Look at these. say now. That's what I thought. But otherwise, I just wanted to come down here and show you this beautiful place that I live. I only live about 25 minutes away drive from this, and as you can see, there's all these picnic tables. I'll show you. Picnic tables and fire, so you can do fire there. See? Some people wonder how I found the perfect depth for my squat. Well, I'll show you how. That's about right. That's pretty good. Feels okay. Isn't that amazing? It's so peaceful here. Well, so much for that. So much harmony in nature. And how this really equates to your body, how it really applies to your own body, is that there's this sensation called your physicality, or your muscles and your ligaments and tendons and organs and everything. And by understanding how to be with that and to respond to what's happening in that, you'll become the master of your own training programs, really. So that's how I make different decisions in my training from time to time. Sometimes I'm going heavier, sometimes I'm going lighter, and people are like, oh, how do you know when to make that decision? Well, you just become more in touch with it as you are here. So that's how meditation can actually help your bodybuilding. So some people ask me about, is bodybuilding a spiritual path? And I think it can be, because it's, spirituality is nothing more than relationship and being in tune with the relationship of everything. And if you're in relationship with something, then you can actually expand that relationship into everything, right? So, yeah. It's not abuse, right? Abuse is the mind comes up with an idea of what it's supposed to achieve, and it doesn't matter what it has to do in order to achieve it. But anyway, I'm getting off topic here. So training a little bit more frequently might be a good idea for you, or training less frequently. But if you want to apply the pump and stretch principle, train when you're a tiny bit sore, and you'll notice that you get a little bit more of a response in the muscle, and you may put on some size. Because I find a lot of times people make the mistake of recovering for too long, like taking too long a rest between training a body part. So say you're only training a body part once a week or once every 2 weeks or something like that, and then you come back around to it. Yeah, you get sore right away, but it's almost like everything's flaccid. It's almost like the body's responding to more rest time, and it's adapting to being restful instead of adapting to needing to get stronger and build endurance and so forth. So it's almost like it has a short-term memory when it comes down to holding on to muscle, and it loses that memory. It's like the body says, I'm going to adapt to what's happening for the majority of the time in my life. And just because I had this one moment of working hard out of 90% of the time not working hard, it doesn't make sense to adapt then to that 10% of what's happening in my life. So that's kind of how the body works. You need to straddle the balance between rest and work. And if there's too much rest, your body's not really going to be adapting. And if there's too much work, then your body won't be adapting either, because it's overkill. It just gets beaten down too much. So you have to play with that. But I find that training a little bit more often, and always training when you're just a tiny bit tight, not a lot, but just a tiny bit tight, is the perfect way to do it. So if you're noticing that you're too sore by the time you train a muscle, again, that means you might have to back off on your volume a little bit and keep that same frequency, or increase the rest days, one of the two. So there's a number of different ways to adjust these parameters. You don't have to do it one way or the other. Finding that balance is really what makes you a master. At some point you find that balance, and that balance is always changing. That's the other thing to realize. A boat will be different in this river here that I'm sitting beside. I'm standing right beside a river here. A boat will have a different stability in there than in the middle of the ocean, in the middle of a storm, right? So sometimes you have these different parameters that happen in your body. and seasons, diet, stress levels, sleep, and just age and different transformations that your own body goes through as it's fighting off different flus and viruses and infections and all this stuff. All these different things happen in the human body. So only by being in harmony and in tune with it can you really know how to adjust everything. And so listening and experiencing and expanding your awareness will help you learn how to adjust these parameters as you need to, instead of just following a blind template. Like I said, templates are great. They're a great place to start. That's why I give you the programs. That's not the deepest wisdom. The deepest wisdom will be you expanding your awareness so that you know how to adjust these parameters yourself depending on what's going on in your body. And also be patient. It takes time to develop this skill. It's not something that happens overnight. Give yourself a decade. Give yourself a decade. You don't have to be like a lot of these idiots in the world that think everything is achievable right now in this moment and there's no time to put in. I mean, it's just like making a baby. A baby takes about 8 to 9 months to be born, and some things just take time. So just be patient with yourself. Yes, you can park here overnight if you want, or you can just come here for a period of time, park your car in here and then do a campfire. I didn't bring any wood with me today because I just want to come up here and just talk to you guys, do some filming and things, and yeah, just take a walk around. But it's just totally deserted right now. It's just like it's a paradise. I'm going to show you a couple other neat places around here too. It's not just the beach here, but there's some abandoned stuff over there. Bodybuilder walk. Legs are too big to walk normal. So peaceful. Just so peaceful, Just so peaceful. Train the muscles, not the joints. Get it? Ducks are scaring the crap out of me all the time. I don't know what that means. Reminds me of that series though in the 80s. It's a different world from where I come from. I can't say it right, but we're in animal gangland territory right now. There's probably animal gangs around here. Raccoons and groups of wolves and shit and ducks and stuff. It's probably what the ducks were saying to me before. They were like, get out of our territory, man. You're in our hood, right? Animal gangs with the little spray cans and stuff doing this graffiti because it's not people. It's not people doing that. That's animals, man. So I always knew that dogs marked their territory, but maybe this is how the wildlife marks their territory. It's with graffiti. It makes a lot of sense. Let's move on, shall we? Into this deeper exploration of animal ganglands, animal territories in Harrison Mills. Stay tuned. I never imagined through deeper exploration and through this documentary work of the expose of animal ganglands would I run into this territory and these types of markings. This is extraordinary. It's extraordinary. I probably should have a British accent when I say that because everything seems to have more credibility when you say extraordinary with a British accent and you talk about, if you talk about things, it just seems like it's true if you have a British accent. I'll see if I can do that. Never did I imagine Never did I imagine. Never did I imagine that I would find. Never did I imagine that I would find these types of graffiti markings underneath a train track. I can't do a British accent. Maybe an Indian accent. Maybe that would work. Oh, those are some birds. They're doing a drive-by. I'm in animal gangland territory right now, so you gotta watch out. You never know when one of these dangerous animal gangs are gonna come up, creeping up behind me and, you know, fire some shots or something. I don't know what kind of weapons they use, but they seem to be pretty good with a spray can. And here we see more markings, more signs of this destructive, vigilante type of attitude that goes along with these animal gangs. Aha! Aha! Absolute total proof of existence of a creature. It's painted on rocks. This may be the leader of these animal gangs that we are investigating right here on this TV show that I have not figured out what the name is of yet. And remember, avoid nature. It's dangerous. So thanks a lot for watching. Make sure you share my stuff. Make sure you support me on Patreon if you can. I put some extra clips and different things up there once in a while. Okay, I do that. All right. And if you need to get hold of me, just go to naturalgallantbodybuilding.com and take care for now. Thank you for following me along in this investigation of animal gangs. Next episode, we investigate flower attacks. They could be happening to you in your very own backyard.